years ago, our fathers brought forth unto this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
Just don't tell that to a midget. I was born to a poor working-class family. My twin brother died at birth. It was a difficult birth, so my mother didn't want to have anything to do with me. When I was 2, I would have to grab leftovers from the garbage my other siblings left behind. I didn't know it then, but this might have been a blessing in disguise. At age 5, she had had enough of kids ruining her life. So since I was the youngest of the lot, she gave me away to an older couple who had a farm out in God's country. My new parents were a little different. My father was a mild-mannered man with a mustache named Bill. Why he felt he had to name his mustache, I don't know. They were members of a little-known Christian sect. They spoke in tongues all the time, never quite knew what they were saying.
What are you? I can't understand you.
The old couple meant well, but they would take me to church every Sunday and put me up near the altar as the preacher would give the sermon. I seemed to hold some kind of fascination to the congregation, being the first captive Jew they ever had. Half of them wanted to convert me, the other half wanted to crucify me. I weighed the two options, and even though I was only 6, I figured I'd better hit the road.
Well, I'm a traveling man, and I ride the rails, take my guitar wherever I go. And no man alive can tie me down, 'cause this life is all I know. And I've seen the lights of Paris, and I've gone where destiny sails. And I'll take the next train out of here, rolling down those dusty trails.
That's when I met up with a man who called himself Woody. He was a traveling man. All he owned was his guitar and the clothes on his back. But boy, could he write songs. He wrote about the common man, anesthesiologists, mafia lieutenants, transvestites. I learned a lot from old Woody. We would jump railroad cars, and I would listen to him sing and tell stories to the hobos. One day, I figured he must have written all the songs he wanted to write, because I found his guitar with a note addressed to me.
Take this guitar. I'm done. Never liked the motherfucker. Keeps going out of tune. Signed, your friend Wally.
Wally? I thought his name was Woody.
I'll send you a postcard from who knows where, and maybe a basket of fruit. I'm just a smooth-talking, fast-walking, traveling man, and I refuse to wear a suit.
Years passed, and I finally found myself in New York City. They had a vibrant folk scene there, and I had a trunk of songs and poems in my head that just needed the right audience.
His poetry was shit.
Hypnos, a poem. If hypnos were a state of mind, not a state of the union of mind and soul, would we all be in the glorified perpetuity of the eternal be? Or would we, and by this I mean the existential we, be in a state of homogenized we-be, whereby we would be stripped of our plaintive souls forever? To be hip or not to be hip? To be or not to bop? That is no question. It is the eternal why. And why not be? Just be me and thee in the abysmal we be. Definition: hipocrisy. The state or condition of momentary hipness. Can you dig it?
He was such a precious boy. We all loved him so. We encouraged him all the time, even though his poetry wasn't worth jack shit.
I played every chance I could get, and finally I landed a gig. I managed to interest some record execs to come see me. It was at the Cafe Watt. Unfortunately, there was another more well-known club with a similar name, so I found myself playing to an empty room. The only person in the audience was a critic in a real bad mood. The next day, the headline of his review said, "It was the night the critic died."
Everybody! And so they tell me life's a circle, but I think it's hexagon.
Life is like a box of Girl Scout cookies delivered by a man called Death. The poetry seemed like a good idea, but I was way ahead of my time. One particular poem called My Brother, My Nigger didn't go over too well. It wasn't the right time for a white man to be using the N-word. A few months later, a fellow by the name of Lenny Bruce made it hip, but it wasn't soon enough to keep me from getting the shit kicked out of me. So I figured it was time for a change. I started a doo-wop group called the Carvels. We had a local hit and got to perform on American Bandstand.
In life we must do what our part is. But never put your money where your heart is.
No, never gonna bet, never gonna bet on love.
Should I take a chance? Never gonna bet on love, no. Will I find romances waiting? Life was just another throw of the dice, but you came along and
Now my friends are throwing rice.
Everything was going peachy. No one could have seen it coming. But in 1964, the British invaded. That killed it for us doo-woppers. Still, music was in my blood. I was not to be beaten down. I noticed how many Brits were getting signed to record deals, so I came up with a new persona to sell myself to the labels. This, unfortunately, did not work.
And nobody knows how it happened.
I kept playing and writing. Put a band together called the Flying Frijoles. I knew that one day I'd get my big break. I even got to play with some of the best in the business. My band was starting to take off. We were getting great press and more fans were showing up at gigs. But life can be cruel. One icy winter night took the lives of all my bandmates. The headline said, "Flying Frijoles crash and burn." Gone. They were all taken on that fateful night. They were sniffing Elmer's glue. The official cause of death was listed as asphyxiation due to nostrils pasted shut.
Satch was devastated. He went into a deep depression, ended up in the mental ward at Bellevue.
They were treating me for drug dependency. So 3 times a day they would pump me full of drugs to combat my urge to use drugs. I became a vegetable. The doctors said this was progress. In my days in the folk scene, I had made some friends who eventually hit it big. Bob Dylan, Pete Seeger, Joan Baez. They all came to visit me in the hospital. They'd sit for hours and listen to my stories about being on the road with Wally. Well, it wasn't long before I realized that the doctors in that place were a lot worse off than I was. So in the middle of the night, I packed my things and once again hit the road. I figured the best way to cure my depression was through comedy. So I started a new band that played a mix of top 40, jazz, and shtick. The thing we became best known for was throwing a rubber chicken in the air and pretending to shoot it down. People just laughed and laughed. We usually ended the night by playing a song I wrote called No Balls.
Everybody sing!
The crowd's reaction to all this funny stuff warmed my heart. Looking back, I'd say they were the happiest years of my life. I was cured.
seems to me that the world's in a mess now, don't it?
All those years I kept on writing, never lost the dream of one day hearing my songs back on national radio. During the day I would go into Manhattan and knock on doors trying to get someone, anyone interested in one of my tunes. Then one day, while humming to myself in the elevator at the Brill Building, a publisher named Artie Belinsky overheard the tune and asked me if I had any more like that. I went into his office and played him almost every song I ever wrote. He loved them all. I signed a publishing deal that day. I was about to hit the big time.
He was a good boy. His songs weren't worth shit, but he had potential.
Artie had many connections and helped me pay my bills by getting me work as a studio musician. Here's a photo of my first wife, Gloria Fishbottom. We got married the day after I signed my publishing deal. She left me after 6 months. Turned out she was nothing but a gold digger. But I quickly replaced her with another wife who just happened to look exactly like her. She was a Russian balance beam athlete, Svetlana Nevertipova. It was true love. About a year went by. Artie and I became close friends. One day he burst into the writing room and told me he got me an audition with Clive Davis. The audition went great. I was on Columbia Records. The day I signed the contract, they fired Clive Davis. Anybody that had anything to do with my being on the label left with Clive. So after 2.5 years of nothing happening, I came up with a plan to get me out of my contract.
It was brilliant. He went up to Columbia's president and played him his best songs.
It's so hard for me to say it, so I'll sit right down and play it. If you're counting on me to have taken my key, we're locked out. There's one thing I'll tell you now for sure. I'm a doctor in a girl's school. A doctor in a girl. Why don't you sit on my face? It's the only place you ought to be.
They looked just like I played Springtime for Hitler.
He was off the label the next day. He was free.
It was the late 1960s. Creativity was bursting out everywhere. Love was in the air. People were protesting the war. It was an exciting time for artists. I got into performance art for a time. Here I am sitting in a park. I did this performance for 3 days straight. I started painting and writing poetry again. Life was good. I started going to protest rallies. Ban the bomb, civil rights, burn your draft cards. I should have paid more attention, but there were so many causes it was hard to keep them straight. I played and wrote and sang constantly. People started calling me a genius.
People thought he was a genius.
It was 1970, the year of my first hit. Ever since the World Caught Fire went gold almost overnight. I was rich, famous, had a new car, bought a house in Malibu. Then my second wife left me and took half of all my stuff. Didn't see that one coming. But as fate would have it, I soon met another woman who looked exactly like the first two. And she had that new wife smell. And my career was going strong. Women were throwing their panties and children at me while I performed. I always had a couple of fraternity suits going. I didn't care. I was on top. The more the merrier. Several years went by. A few more hits, a few more wives, dozens of kids, a truckload of panties. But soon, the money ran out. My fans deserted me. They said I sold out. I was too commercial.
I try to warn him. It's a long, hard climb to the top, but it's real easy slipping back.
The tax man took whatever my wives didn't take. I was back at the bottom. I started to look for other ways to earn a living. I invented a bar of soap that looked like the Pope. I called it Pope on a Rope. It would have been a big seller, but people thought I wanted to hang the Pope rather than bathe with him. Then I financed a gay dentist who went by the name The Tooth Fairy. The timing wasn't right. After that, I wasted more money on a doctor who wrote a book claiming he found a new organ in the human body called the bejeebies. His whole reason for writing the book was to alert people to the idea that the bejeebies was real and that they couldn't be scared out of you. They had to be surgically removed. That didn't pan out. Then I hit rock bottom. I auditioned for Hair. I don't know if it was dumb luck or just a great turn of events, but I got the part. Everything would have been just great except for one thing. There was a nude scene. Up to that point, I was able to keep my embarrassing disfigurement a secret. But once I was in Hair, the cat was out of the bag, so to speak. Nobody up till that time had ever seen a Jew with such a large member. It proved distracting to the audience and the other actors. The other performers were complaining that I was upstaging them. Once I appeared naked, nobody noticed anything but me. Women started showing up backstage wanting to sign my Johnson. The producers were getting impatient and I was running out of room for signatures, so we mutually agreed that I would leave the show. The headlines read, "Star leaves Hair, too big for part." I guess all men are not created equal.
After that, Satch fell off the radar. There were rumors. Someone said that they saw him playing at a condo in Boca Raton, Florida. I don't know if that's true. For all I know, he's dead or playing in some dark, smoke-filled club in Nowheresville, Ohio. I just hope he's doing the only thing that ever really made him happy, making people laugh.
Everybody sing. Come on, the man has got no balls. What should he ain't got? It's balls.
And what will we gain if we run and hide? And who was to blame for it all? It's always the same when the freedom dies. It's always the same when we fall. There's a man drowning in confusion, and he dies trapped by his illusion.